Mr. Moderator, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real honor and a pleasure to see you all here and to participate to this seminar. Unfortunately, I do not see the slides. Can you please show the first slide? Thank you very much. I want to thank IRC, of course, greatly, because the organization
voice is not coming.
Very much to give us that opportunity to speak. That's why I wanted to be today. And of course, I am glad to be accompanied by our Secretary General, who is going to speak much more than myself, and also much more our specialists who are going to participate in all the different sessions. Next slide, please. It is probably not necessary to show what is PIARC, because you are co-founder. However, we are non-profit, non-political association, and important is what we do exactly today: organize exchange of knowledge on all matters related to roads and road transport. And we are so many member governments and working with a network of experts from the whole world. Next slide, please. Knowledge exchange, that's the word. We want to do that in meetings. Of course, this pandemic forces us to be now on screens. We really, it is a pity that it is so, but we, of course, want to distribute our deliverables with much accessibility, and you find them all online for free. It's important to say that. And there are important congresses and events that you can find also on our website. Next slide, please. We have reports of the past, and you see some of them here explained, 40 in one cycle, 46, and we are of course working on even more reports in the actual cycle. Next slide, please. Important is, of course, to exchange and to have the possibility to present knowledge to the countries who want more. And that's why exchange of knowledge with and in low and middle income countries is quite important. We organized 22 seminars and 22 workshops in the former cycle. We have that all online on the website too. And of course, now we are in some difficulties to organize them all in presence, but the seminars is a fantastic solution to go on with our knowledge exchange. Next slide, please. We work based on a strategic plan after consultation of all our members and also partners organizations, because we try to have really our work focused on the most important topics for the whole world. And you see in the fourth column, the topic of today, tunnels. Next slide, please. But of course, within that strategic plan, we have horizontal issues: climate change, resilience, road safety, innovation, and since 1 year, pandemic, of course. This is an issue where we have a response team quickly set up under the leadership of Patrick Manejak and working very hard about that. Next slide, please. Our work is led by Ingo Codinia about tunnel operation. Merci, thank you. I don't know why the sound has been cut off. I am really sorry for that. I did not do that by myself. I hope you saw a minimum of information of the slides. Now I'm talking about the ongoing work on tunnel operations led by Ingo Codinia, who you are going to hear in the next sessions. Next slide, please. Tunnels. The technical committee have, yes, 130 members from 40 countries. Not every country is specialist in all the technical committees we have set up. The work is organized in committee meetings and 7 working groups and task forces, and I would like to thank them all for their tremendous work continuously about that. Next slide, please. Highlights of the last cycle. You can find all those reports again on our website, but it's important that you know that it is almost a continuous work. Next slide, please. Important also is the update on the online road tunnel manual. The new version is available on the website too. That online manual is a new method of presentation of our work that is very accessible and helps you to go on your timing and on your speed to have all the information about what is happening in the whole world. Next slide, please. I am concise to respect the timing, of course. The next PIARC events, don't be afraid of the World Winter Service. I know that in India it's not so very cold, however, in the mountains probably well, but it's also Road Resilience Congress. It will be virtual because we cannot organize it further, taking into account that many countries still in February will have limitations for traveling. But it doesn't prevent us to organize a very important Congress. And in a certain sense, it gives more accessibility to many people from the whole world for perhaps a cheaper price because you don't need to travel to it. We will have a second PIARC International Conference on Road, Tunnel and Operations and Safety in Granada in October 22. And don't miss, of course, and that we hope it will be a real Congress in Prague in October 2023. Next slide, please. Conclusion. India, as I said, was a founding member of PIARC in 1909. We have an esteemed member from India in our task forces on road design standards. We have an esteemed member also from your country on Road Tunnels Committee. India is very welcome to appoint more experts in PIARC technical committees to propose to host PIARC seminar locally, as you do now, and so on. Thank you, really. Next slide, please. So thank you for your attention. I wish really much success to this seminar, and I am very interested to follow further this plenary session. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Professor Van Rooten, for your enriching presentation. Now, I would introduce the next speaker, Mr. I.K. Pandey, Director General Road Development and Special Secretary to Government of India. Mr. Pandey is the highest technical authority for the matters related to development of road sector under the domain of the federal government. He is the first delegate of PIARC from India. Mr. I.K. Pandey, please.
Thank you, Rahul. Namaskar, Honorable Minister, Road Transport and Highways and MSME, Sri Nitin Gadkari ji, Honorable Minister of State for Road Transport and Highways, General Dr. V.K. Singh ji, President, PIARC, distinguished panelists and fellow delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I am really grateful to the Honorable Minister for gracing this occasion on webinar on road tunnels, besides his busy schedule. I would also like to thank Indian Road Congress, World Road Congress, and International Tunneling Association and Underground Space Association for coming together on this platform in organizing this international webinar on road tunnels, recent trends, innovations, and way forward. Our ministry is mandated to develop a sustainable, safe, and reliable national highway infrastructure to achieve enhanced all-weather connectivity to fast-paced socio-economic development in the country. The construction of tunnel becomes imperative in mountainous area where surface transport network remains closed for a major period of the year due to snow, avalanche, etc. And therefore, our ministry is focusing on development of tunnels on national highways in the hilly and mountainous terrain for providing all-weather connectivity in accessible, remote, and strategic areas. I am grateful to our Honorable Minister, Road Transport and Highways, for directing us to specially create a separate tunnel zone in the ministry to address the problems being faced in tunnel projects in the country. An expert committee involving experts from industries, academia, and government organization has been constituted to resolve technical and contractual issues in tunnel projects and developing manuals and guidelines for tunnel construction and maintenance in the country. As regards tunnels in India on national highways, tunnels in an aggregate length of 31 km is under operation, about 106 km is under implementation, and about 135 km of tunnel projects are under DPR stage. 10.89 km long Chenani Nasi Tunnel and 9.02 km long Atal Tunnel, Rohtang are some of the major tunnel projects which have been completed and under operation in the country. Recently, Ministry has awarded the contract for construction of 14.15 km long landmark Jojila Tunnel projects at an altitude of about 3,000 meters to provide all-weather connectivity between Srinagar Valley and Leh Ladakh Plateau. The construction of tunnel has to negotiate with various obstructions, complications arising due to extraordinary occurrences, geological occurrences like presence of water, faults, etc. Hence, during DPR stage, the sound, thorough geological and geophysical investigations are key to proper design of tunnel support systems and construction methodologies and cut down the uncertainties. Besides, there arises typical contractual issues during construction which need to be resolved promptly. Hence, there is a need to share and disseminate knowledge among the various concerned stakeholders and create a central repository of data and knowledge and store data at a central server for the benefit of the engineering fraternity. The data will help in planning and designing a tunnel project proposals in similar areas and can also be used by institutions, public industries for research and developmental activities. There is also a need to encourage contractors to use new technologies and best international practices in tunnel construction and operations to fast-pace the construction and provide a safe and reliable tunnel projects. I hope that this webinar will be useful to all stakeholders to make them aware of best international practices and technology for developing safe and reliable road tunnel infrastructure in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG sir. Next will be our keynote presenter for this session, Mr. Olivier Vion. Mr. Vion is Executive Director of International Tunneling and Underground Space Association. He's a chartered civil engineer, specialized as structural engineer. He also has a master's degree in human resources. I request Mr. Oliver Bjorn to present the keynote presentation on the overview of the road tunnels works across the globe. Mr. Oliver Bjorn, please.
Thank you very much. I'll try to put my presentation in slideshow. Yes. Oh. So good afternoon, good morning, honorable ministers, dear President of PIARC, dear Secretary General of PIARC, dear members of IRC. I'm very pleased to have been invited to make this keynote lecture for the opening session of this very interesting seminar. As Mr. Van Rutten said, would have loved to be each other together in person, but the new life we have to cope with is getting more and more digital seminar, which is also an opportunity for many people to be there and present. As has been said, I'm the Executive Director of the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association, which is an NGO with 78 member nations, among them India, which is represented by the Tunneling Association India. And I would speak about the an overview, of road tunnels across the globe. For something like 10 years now, ITA is preparing every 3 years a full market survey about what is being done in terms of tunneling works for all kinds of tunnels. I will start to present you a global overview of the tunneling, and then I will concentrate on road tunnels. The latest figures we have are the figures of the year 2019. Of course, it might be that during 2020 and this year, there is a bit less of tunneling works, even though what we are learning from the reports we are receiving from our member nations is, even though it has been a short stop in many countries, beginning of 2020, the tunneling industry is still booming. The figures I will show you are coming from altogether 4,200 projects. Among them, 1,615 projects were in construction in 2019, and 2,600 projects were in planning or study phase. So the global output for tunnel and underground space construction is, for the year 2019, 125 billion euros compared to 86 billion in 2016. That means a growth around 8 to 9% per year, which is 2.5 times more than the global construction. So it's very important to show that tunneling is very booming and that there are many projects all over the year. If you see this graph, this is the tunnel construction by output in million euros. So when I say Asia, is all Asian countries outside China, because China by itself is more or less 50% of all tunnels built in the world. So you have figures that shows that Asia and China and Europe are the big market for tunneling. Then you have Middle East, Australia, South America. So it shows anyhow that it is something very important. Then in terms of kilometer, China is really the biggest, because on the 5,200 kilometers of tunnels that have been in construction in 2019, 3,000 kilometers were being built in China and 1,000 in the rest of Asia and 500 kilometers in Europe. So this is very important to be seen. So in Europe, for instance, you have Turkey, which is now the biggest market in Europe, followed by some countries with the same amount of tunnels, around 50 to between 40 and 50 kilometers of tunnels excavated every year: Austria, Germany, Italy, Norway. Of course, the figure is different when you, I've not shown it for this, but it's different in kilometer and in output, because of course all the tunnels are not the same value. Majority road tunnels are per kilometer cheaper than metro tunnels, and therefore the countries building more road tunnels might be the first in output, but not the first in kilometer, but not the first in output. If I take Asia, you've got in kilometer, so as I say, China 3,000 kilometers of tunnels, Japan 800 kilometers, India 130 kilometers, and then other countries of Asia in kilometers of tunnels having been excavated during the year 2019. So it's real kilometer excavated during the year 2019. As you see, the breakdown by use of tunnel between metro, rail, road, and others. The road tunnels are the majority of the tunnels that are being built in the world. If I go now more deeply on the road tunnels, taking the same thing, China, Asia, Europe are first with 800 kilometers of road tunnel in China, 350 in Asia, and 225 in Europe. And by output, Asia with 24 billion, China, Europe, Australasia. So the market, the global market of tunnels, road tunnels or all tunnels, is dominated by China and Asia, which is, let's say, growing countries with the most people demography, meaning that the needs of tunnels and infrastructures are here the most important, and it's good. They need to build infrastructure, and we see that among the infrastructure that are being built, the tunnels represent a great majority of projects. If I come to that was a view of what the reality of the year 2019. If we go now in the projects, meaning tunnels that are in planning or study, we are more or less the same, even though I would say that, and the European know that it's the time frame between the start of planning of a tunnel and the completion of a tunnel is much longer in Europe than it can be in other countries, and specifically in China. Sometimes when you ask the Chinese authorities what are your plans, they can give you the plans of the next 3 years, because which already represents a big amount, but they do not have longer term plans. for us in Europe, we have tunnels that we are in the planning phase for the last 25 years, and for which the construction has not started yet. So we have many tunnels that are in planning. That doesn't mean that they will come in the next 5 years, where in Asian countries, and specifically in China, when you have a tunnel in a planning phase, that means that in the next 5 years it will be completed and commissioned. We sometimes would love to have this in Europe, but we have many other things to cope with, which unfortunately doesn't bring us to this figure. It's the same, even though in the planning phase, probably because it takes longer to plan and the studies are longer, you have more rail tunnels in planning than road tunnels. Also because rail tunnels means that you are on a railway line. A railway line can be operational only when it is finished. Sometimes in terms of road tunnels, you have an existing road and you replace a part of your roads by a tunnel to shorten the time, so you can act more quickly on road tunnels than on rail tunnels. And then I've tried to take some of examples of some projects that road tunnels projects for the last years. You may know that the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association is organizing every year we will start the 7th edition this year, awards for the main projects, or big projects, but also innovative projects. And I've picked up some of the road tunnels that have been presented, that have been either winners or finalists of these different awards, in order to show a variety of road tunnels that are being built, because all of these are tunnels that have been built in the world. No, sorry, then I already spoke about this. The first one is in Norway. As you know, Norway, the coast of Norway is a lot of fjords, but in the past you could go only through ferry, and they have decided to build tunnels under the fjords, and creating fixed links all along the coast. And one of the big projects was the Ryfast tunnel to link the city of Stavanger to the region of Rifkirke, with more than 50 kilometers of tunnels, including 40 kilometers of subsea tunnels. I don't know if you see well, so it's tunnels going all this there, with here a tunnel is going back on an island, and so on, with sometime let's say up to 6 deep tunnels. And that's very impressive, to be able to build such a continuity of tunnels and undersea tunnels. It has been built by Drill and Blast with probe drilling, and of course on advanced drilling, because the drillings of survey drillings that were made from boats, from the surface, it's much more difficult to operate than when you are on the earth. So you need to have a really advanced in the drilling, probe drilling, pre-grouting. Of course, you have something like 50-60 meters of water, so you need to be sure that you are not going to have leakage. Otherwise, it's very difficult to cope with. Rock support with a geologist on site, shotcrete, balls, reinforced ribs, four-poling. So full on 40 kilometers of tunnels. So quite impressive tunnel in Norway. But also in terms of operation of a tunnel, to break the monotony, they have made large caverns, sometimes bigger tunnels with change of colors in order that people do not get asleep when driving in a 40-kilometer long tunnel under the sea. So all the challenges along the way were, as I said, the weak zones, the low overburdened, bad water leakage, and they had also difficulties on the not under the water, but on the other parts of the tunnels, and of course environment issues and local authorities in order to be able to build such a tunnel. Here I'm going closer to you in India. I'm going to Hong Kong, which is the Tuen Mun Chek Kok Link tunnel, which is also an undersea tunnel, but this one is being built by TBM, nearly 5-kilometer tunnel, 2 tubes with a depth of 60 meters, and some, of course, cut and cover for the ramp, and 57 cross passages between the 2 tubes, 46 of them being built by tunneling methods. It's what has been an Ehrenknecht TB slurry mixed chilled TBM, 17.63 meter in diameter. So it's one of the biggest TBM ever built, with a design pressure up to 7 bars. So that's something impressive. Also, but this shows that we are now able, in terms of construction, to I would not say that we are able to build any kind of tunnels, because, as I said, the easy tunnels have all been built. Now we have to cope with tunnels that are difficult to build, that needs always more innovation, more research and development. And one of the specificity of this tunnel was the fact that when you are building such tunnels with the TBMs, you need to be able to change tools on your TBMs, and you are, as I said, something like up to 6 bars, so you are in hyperbaric conditions. And that's something that has been one of the main issues for this project, was to see how the people could be able to go and repair frequently the tools in an hyperbaric conditions up to 6 bars. And therefore, in fact, they were staying during a longer cycle in an hyperbaric environment. So meaning that they were not going from normal atmosphere to 6 bars each time they were going to there. They were staying at 6 bars atmosphere all the time, up to, with long cycles, up to 28 days. So they had built a specified habitat with pressurized living chambers in surface, in order to have people that were staying at this 6 bars atmosphere. And of course, they had to involve doctors, nurses, support technicians. So only for the work of changing tools and going operation in the hyperbaric of a TBM. You have 6 doctors, 3 nurses, 45 professional hyperbaric workers, 12 life support technicians, and 3 hyperbaric operation supervisors. But in terms of efficiency, the fact to keep everybody in the hyperbaric, you have less risk, in fact, than the risk is always in the decompression. So if you have less rhythm of decompression, it's much better for everybody. But you have to organize all your life specifically for all these people living during a longer period in hyperbaric conditions. Another interesting tunnel is a tunnel in Tehran. It's a shorter tunnel, but in a very dense urban area, underpassing vertical arteries, 3 emergency exits, and also multiple cross sections. It is very impressive on this tunnel. So you have, in fact, a cross section which is a 2-story tunnel, and more or less a square tunnel, 13-meter high to 12.2 meter wide, with 2 lanes in one direction on the top and 2 lanes in the other direction down. But you have normal 2 traffic lane tunnel. For the same, all this is the same tunnel. It's just different parts of a tunnel. You have one with what they call 2.5 traffic lane, meaning you have one lane which can be used as a traffic lane or not, depending on the moment. And you have one with 1.5 traffic lane. So it's the issue, of course, in this operation is to go from one section to the other, and of course this is quite impressive to build that under a very dense area. But it is something which is needed, because of course in cities, and I will not tell you in India, where you have very dense areas, for transport, it is very important to use the underground to build tunnels for road. Here we're talking about road tunnels, but of course also for public transport, it is very important to use the underground space and to be adaptive, in order that sometimes you don't need on the whole length of your tunnel 3 lanes tunnels. You can modify your section of a tunnel depending on where you are. And the last example I took is in Chile, which is the Costanera Norte with the tunnel Kennedy. It's a 1 kilometer tunnel in Santiago, with also typical cross sections up to 4 or 5 lanes. So on 50 meters you have 5 lanes. So that means that you have a section which is 21 meter wide and 12 meter high, and it's also a 4.5 lanes design, in order to be able to have this tunnel with a very dense traffic, because 4 lanes are needed in each direction. And as you see, that has been built, of course, with conventional methods, but it is very important because 21 meter wide tunnel is a huge, and 12 meters is a huge section. So it's nearly 300 square meters section in some parts. So it's very important to be able to build that safely. And it's, of course, has been made with different sections with vault and then the invert and so on. with the tunnel lining and the waterproofing. So that was my overview of road tunnels over the world. Of course, I am happy to answer questions from the floor, or from the from everywhere it could come from on this. And once again, I thank you everybody for having invited me to make this presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver, for the interesting overview. We are in a process of getting the questions from the audience, and perhaps the audience questions and queries can be addressed through email subsequently, keeping with the time limitations with this inaugural session. Now, the next speaker of this inaugural session is Honorable Union Minister of State, Road Transport and Highways, General Dr. V.K. Singh. Honorable Minister of State has been a decorated officer of Indian Army. He has served as Chief of Staff of the country, Chief of Army Staff of the country. He has the distinction of being inducted into U.S. Army War College's International Fellows Hall of Fame. I request Honorable Minister of State to kindly deliver his speech.
Our Minister for Road, Highways, Transport and MSME, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, the President PIARC, Claude Von Rutten, our very senior member of the Ministry, Shri I.K. Pandey, Shri A.K. Srivastav, J. Nagendra. We just heard the Executive Director, ITA, Olivia Vion, Shri S.K. Nirmal, Bernard Alconet of the PIRC, Mr. Patrick, and the person who's taking great pains to conduct this particular session, Rahul Gupta. And I see that there are almost 295 attendees of this particular session, something which is very good. Tunnels have been the intriguing part over the ages. People constructed tunnels for various purposes, and over a period of time, we graduated from what people were tunneling to find minerals into tunneling for communication, tunneling for ensuring that we could travel, tunneling for ensuring that we could make our utilities work, tunneling for ensuring that we could cut down the distances. Tunnels are today a very important part of any communication strategy of any country. And especially where you have rivers, you have small portions of sea, where you've got islands, where you've got hills. In all these areas, if you want to cut down the distances, I think tunnels are an answer. And there are many methods that are practiced where the tunnels are concerned. The simplest was the cut and cover earlier, but today we have gone into a more sophisticated methodology of tunneling. And equipment has also become very, very sophisticated. And that is what I think is also the aim of this webinar, that we pool in the knowledge of everybody around the world so that it can benefit humanity across the world. In India, we have had tunnels for a very long period, but recently, as part of our outreach in making better expressways and better roads, we are into creation and construction of tunnels which will ease travel, whether it is in the hills and the challenging areas that we have chosen, at altitudes where the passes remain frozen. How do you go underneath them? One of the most important part where the tunneling is concerned is how to find the strata and the geology of the whole thing. How do we ensure that we go right in the type of machinery that we use, the type of access that we choose, the type of methodology that we involve in taking out the material and then disposing it off somewhere. All these are very complex issues which require a lot of planning. It requires a lot of knowledge sharing. It requires a lot of experts. It requires a lot of equipment that can ensure that there is proper support for this kind of activity. We in India are making more and more tunnels to ensure that we can reach areas which at the moment take more time, become inaccessible during winters, or where the distances are such that you want to cut them down by going under a major river, so that it becomes that much easier for people to travel. Otherwise, it takes much longer period. And in this, I would certainly, with all the experts that are sitting here and all the experts who are attendees, I would implore you all to pool the energy, pool your knowledge, share it with us. India, as I see, in the coming years, will become a leader where your expertise can be utilized, where you can come up with better material. And similarly, how can we make better machinery in India? Because transportation becomes a big issue. Can we set up the latest machinery? Can we set up things which will have a full-face boring machine and not just a two-face boring machine? Many things can be done. I'm very happy to be attending this particular session and this particular webinar. And I would like to thank my minister, Shri Nitin Gadkari, for giving this idea for getting this particular webinar organized. It's a pleasure to be amongst you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring speech. Now, I would like to introduce Honorable Federal Cabinet Minister for Road Transport and Highways and Medium, Small and Micro Enterprises, Government of India, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Mr. Nitin Gadkari is a visionary leader working tirelessly for development of road sector in the country. He has been instrumental in successful execution of India's first expressway, that is the Mumbai-Pune Expressway, in a record time. He has been the Federal Cabinet Minister in Government of India for last 7 years, and under his guidance and leadership, the country has witnessed discernible progress in highway construction. Under his visionary leadership, Government of India has launched a mega highway development scheme with an aim to directly impact the economic activity and freight movement across the country. The scheme is called as Bharatmala Pariyojana. I request Honorable Minister to enlighten the esteemed gathering with his vision of road and tunnel development. Honorable Minister, sir.
My colleague General Dr. V.K. Singh ji, Mr. Claude Van Rutten, President of World Road Association, Mr. Oliver Vion, Executive Director of ITA, Mr. Patrick Maluek, Secretary General PIARC, Mr. I.K. Pandey, our Special Secretary for MART, Mr. S.K. Nirmal, Secretary General for IRC, all the speakers and participants in this webinar. At the outset, I would like to congratulate from Indian Road Congress, MOTH, World Road Organization and International Tunneling and Underground Space Association for organizing this webinar on road tunnel, which is one of the most important and emerging field of road infrastructure technology. The national highway has a length of about, in our country, Our national highway has a length of about 1.37 lakh kilometer, carries over 40% of the total traffic across the length and breadth of the country. The role of road transport among the different modes of transport is dominant because of its last mile connectivity or feeder service. To fulfill above objective, Government of India has launched a visionary highway development scheme with an aim to directly impact the economic activity and freight movement across the country. The scheme is called as Bharatmala Pariyojana. In its first phase, construction of 34,800 km of highway is planned in 5 years. It focuses on new initiatives like development of border and international connectivity roads, coastal and port connectivity roads, improving efficiency of national corridors, economic corridors and others. The ambitious project also plans to create new industrial corridors and urban centers which should enhance economic activity in the country. The project will connect 550 districts in the country through NH linkage. The government also expects that 70-80% of the freight traffic will move on national highway, up from 40% now. On national highway in India, tunnel is an aggregate length of about 31 km is under operation and 106 km is under implementation. Besides this, DPR preparation for tunnel project is aggregate length of 135 km is in progress. At present, construction of this tunnels project is expected to be completed by year 2026. India has very large potential for road tunnels, especially in Himalayan region. Construction in this region involves risk on account of varied geology, type of work, and terrain conditions, etc. Economizing the cost of construction of tunnel with minimum construction period without compromise on safety of road user is the need of the hour. And this is the most important task for all of you, that how it can be possible to save the cost, and actually the time period is equally important. Now, without compromise with the safety, because in the country like India, where the capital investment for tunnel is very high, the Zojila tunnel project is one of the ambitious projects which is already implemented by my ministry, has recently awarded the Zojila tunnel project on NH1 in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, which involved construction of 14.15 km long tunnel and 18.63 km approach road at an altitude of about 3,000 meters under Zojila Pass. Presently, motorable only for 6 months in a year due to heavy snowfall. It is one of the most dangerous stretches in the world to drive a vehicle, and this project is also geostrategically sensitive and will facilitate natives and armed forces for fast transport of goods and services. Cost assumed initially or the project including Zojila tunnel and approaches up to Jedmore tunnel was about $1,437 million, that is rupees 1,6,430 million. I got reviewed this project, whole project, and in order to reduce the cost and execute the languishing project in priority, referred the matter Committee of Tunnel Experts in the country. The committee suggested integrating the project of tunnel and approach road utilizing the executed rock material generated from tunnel boring in construction of approach of roads based on the tender received. The total capital cost of the project would be $919 million, that is rupees 68,086 million. Project resulted in an anticipated saving of almost $540 million, that is rupees 40,000 million, to be executed in this project, besides resolving the issue of much disposal to the great extent. India has some of the most difficult mountains terrain in the world, as well as many narrow road passages that have many high altitude passes crossings. India therefore choose to construct tunnel rather than invest in road widening due to the risky terrain. Modern road construction places special demands on geological investigation in connection with tunnel construction. Design standards and guidelines in India needs revision incorporating modern practice all around the world. The further innovative approaches need to be followed in construction, operation and maintenance of tunnels. Emphasis should also be given for digitalization of tunnel. Building the tunnel in Himalayan region requires a myriad of design and construction challenges. Precise drilling has to be achieved with the use of navigation, satellites and computer-controlled drilling jumbos. Besides, the disposal of excavated much without causing environmental hazard in the challenging task. With the technological advancements, digitalization will change the way of gathering geological data, the method of rock classification as well as the application of design analysis required for tunneling. The tunnel construction process and tunnel maintenance will also be benefited by digital transformation during the last decade. The successful application of machine learning has been incorporated in tunneling techniques, especially in Europe. These modern concepts need to be adopted for construction of tunnels in India. Vision of my ministry is to participate in the overall development of the country by creating good roads, bridges, tunnels and their proper upkeep. Availability of a good infrastructure facility is an essential prerequisite for the growth and development of all spheres of economy and improving the living standard of the people. We also visualize employment of advanced technology with high quality control in the construction of tunnels. The most important thing is the capital cost. Without compromise with the safety, we need to reduce the capital cost by using successful practices which are already available in the world. We have to reduce the cost of machinery also. At the same time, in the new concept, we need to think on the line that near the tunnel, when it is completed, we can make smart cities, we can make hill station, we can make roadside amenities, by which we can make adventure sports, other things, by which we can increase the revenue for toll. At the same time, by development of this land, that will be a revenue income for the government, by which we can make it economically viable. Because the capital cost for the tunnel is very high. Somewhere we need to have a philosophy by which how to get it back this cost. That is very important. And that is one of the reasons that without that we cannot invest more in the tunnel construction. We have got lot of big projects of 230 kilometers of tunnel. We need to now on the DPR basis, and now the capital cost is very high. We are raising capital from the market. So by reducing the cost and making some new avenues by which if we can get some revenue from that, then it can be possible. 100% that on the basis of the toll, it is not possible. So these are the challenging problems. Some of the challenges related with the capital investment, that is the economic challenges, and some of the challenges where we need to reduce the cost. And for reducing the cost, we need to have making more research and development, particularly in the plant and machinery. The machinery are already developed in the whole world. If we can increase the number of machinery which we are manufacturing, we can reduce the cost. Now in Indian scenario, we have 270 kilometers of tunnel we are planning. That these are all on DPR basis. So on an initial way, if India, a lot of new machinery is available and there will be more contractor for construction, then there will be a competition by which we can be 100% going to some saving in the cost. So these are the main challenges, and I really am happy that all of your good suggestions, your presentations already are here. At the same time, the immense tunnel under the big river and the sea, that is also one of the important chapter. This is very important for the country like India. We are making Delhi-Mumbai Express Highway. And now in Mumbai, we need to connect it up to Nariman Point, and where we are connecting it to the Jainpeti port. But there we need immense tunnel. So we need to use the appropriate technology by which how we can reduce the cost. Because the land acquisition cost is increased. Environment and ecology and environment problems are also very big. So the way the underground immense tunnel, by using the sophisticated technology, it is 100% a big challenge. Even in Ganga, Brahmaputra, we are making lot of bridges, where we are doing lot of big bridges are there. But if it is possible to make 6-lane, 8-lane immense tunnel, then it can be a good solution. I'm not the engineering expert, but my feeling is in place of constructing bridge, big bridge, like river in Brahmaputra, Ganga and in the sea, in place of that, if we can make immense tunnel by using precast technology, 100% we will save the cost. And ecology, environment point of view, that is also to be a good option. But I remember when I was in Belgium, from Rotterdam to Belgium, I got opportunity to go through the immense tunnel. The experience was very good. So my suggestion is, at a time we are now thinking for making of tunnel, then your tunnel designing is also good, making the one tunnel. There is a single road on the ground level, and there is a second layer also, there is a road. It can be also a good idea. So everywhere we need to find out the solution that how we can reduce the cost, because the cost, capital cost is the main challenge, but at the same time without compromise with the quality. Then second thing is using of the same material in the road construction. And third thing, where we need to use the sophisticated machinery by which we need to reduce the time period. Some of the road construction tunnel, the time period is very high. The interest cost is very high. So if we can accelerate the speed of construction, 100% we are going to reduce the cost for that. And the third important thing which I will request you, that you have to divide your association into two parts. One is for the tunneling and other is for the immense tunnel. Because the immense tunnel, they are important under the sea and under the rivers. This is to be the new future challenges for the world, that we have to make immense tunnel under the river and under the sea with the low cost by using the precast technology, pushback, by which I am confident that we will reduce the cost. I don't know if we can make more immense tunnel, we can reduce the cost. So these are the challenge, and it's really a great pleasure and pride for me. I again giving my thanks to our special secretary, Mr. R.K. Pandey and his team, because in Jojila tunnel, they work very hard, and because of their immense initiative and consultation with a lot of people, they succeed to save the money in this project. And that is exactly the great contribution of all these experts, particularly from India. Their contribution for Jojila tunnel is well recognized and well respectable in the whole country. I really like the contribution of all these concerning people in this project. I hope this webinar provide a platform to share experiences all around the world in construction, operation and maintenance of road tunnels. The one thing I will request to our special secretary, Mr. Pandey, and the IRC General Nirmal, Mr. Nirmal and other, that whatever the good practices, what are the successful practices in the world, what are the code which are already modified in the world, in the European countries, in the USA, my suggestion is without any hesitation, you should accept it. And on the basis of that, if you can go ahead, 100% we will make good quality and we will save the cost without compromise with the safety. So this is really a good initiative taken by the IRC and the Association of Tunnel Association in the world. I am giving my all best wishes to you. And again, I got opportunity to express my views with you. That is also a good opportunity for me. For that, I am giving my thanks to all conveyor, particularly the IRC and the other people, and all my best wishes with you. Whatever your suggestion, your recommendation given to us, 100% we will implement that and we will make the reform in this sector. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, sir, for the inaugural address to this webinar. Sir, we are grateful to you for sparing your precious time to grace this occasion and enriching us with your vision. Now I invite Mr. Patrick Melizek, Secretary General PIARC, to deliver the vote of thanks. Mr. Patrick, along with his dedicated team of experts and professionals, is leading implementation of PIARC's ambitious strategic plan on knowledge production and its dissemination, satisfying the needs of its 125 member countries and more than 2,500 professionals and members. Mr. Patrick, please.
Thank you. I hope you can all hear me clearly. Thank you very much. Honorable Union Minister, Government of India, Honorable Minister of State, Road Transport and Highways at the Government of India, President of PIARC, Secretary, Road Transport and Highways, Government of India, Director General, Road Transport and Highways, Government of India, Mr. Olivier Vion, Executive Director at ITA, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this inaugural session of our international webinar on road tunnels, recent trends, innovations, and way forward. On behalf of PIARC and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways at the Government of India, Indian Road Congress, and International Tunnel Association, let me call it Fraternity of Highway Professionals, here together and on my own behalf, I would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for gracing the platforms with your experience and your opinions today. I express my gratitude on behalf of PIARC, ITA, and IRC to Honorable Union Minister, RTH and SME Government of India for sharing his idea and vision on development of highway sector. We are really all inspired by your great words. I'm also very grateful to the Honorable Minister of State, RTNH, Government of India, for his motivational speech. I also wish to express my gratitude to the Secretary, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, MORTH, for providing encouragement to us and for his valuable suggestions. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for the President of PIARC for sharing his valuable experiences with us today in this session. Further, as you know, we are all grateful to Mr. Pandey, First Delegate to PIARC, and DGRD and SS for his guidance and support. And a big thank you to Olivier Vion, Executive Director of ITA, for his efforts towards overviews of road tunnels works across the globe. It was really very exciting. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. Nirmal, Secretary General RRC, of course, for his excellent efforts in organizing this webinar. I feel really privileged to be working with a person like Mr. Nirmal. I wish to thank all the friends from the media for covering this event. And I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for all at the Indian Road Congress, at PIARC's Tunnel Committee, and at the General Secretariat of PIARC for taking care of the organization of this excellent seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, once again, I express my gratitude to all the speakers and experts who will be showcasing their expertise regarding various aspects of road tunnels over the period of the next 2 days. We thank you all for being with us today in this inaugural session of the International Webinar on Road Tunnels, Recent Trends, Innovations, and the Way Forward. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick.